Hi there, I'm Wendy and welcome to my channel Wendy Paul the Dressmaker, which is my place where I share all things dressmaking and sewing related. So I hope you're good, and if you are a returner to my channel, it's lovely to have you back here, and if you're new to my channel then it's great to have you on board as well. Now this is episode 4, and it was only when I counted up all the things that I've made over the last few weeks I realised that this needs to be a recap of everything. So hopefully if I can get this video uploaded for Friday, it will be a Friday Sews, and if not, it will become a latest makes video. But I'm going to take you through all the things that I've made in the order that I made them and pop them on Instagram, and there's a few other things as well. So I have made another Fleur dress by the Fabric Godmother. I've made a Zadie Jumpsuit, which is the blue floral outfit on the red dress form behind me here. I've also made a pair of pajama bottoms, which I've got to show you. And I've also made the white pattern skirt here, which is on the other dress form. And on top of that, I've made 2 pairs of curtains, a Roman blind, a pelmet, and tie backs. So I've been rather attached to this sewing machine here, and it's worked quite hard for me over the last few weeks. So just before I start, if you don't already subscribe, then it would be great if you subscribed and click the notification bell, and then you'll get to hear when my new videos and updates go live. And if you like this video, it would be lovely if you gave me a little click on the thumbs up as well, because this helps direct YouTube to other people like yourselves to see my videos. So let's start with this dress here, which was the first thing that I made after I recorded the last video. Now I spoke about the Fleur top and dress in, I think it was episode 2, and I made a red version of it, but I just wanted to mention this one because although it's the same pattern, it actually is very different because I've used a very different fabric. The one that I made originally was made using a double gauze fabric, and it was quite structured, so it's got quite big puffy sleeves and it stands out quite a lot and it holds its shape. Whereas this one, I've made this in a really lovely drapey viscose, and I love the print as well. I love the animal print of it. And I got this at Truro Fabrics, and I'll put all the links for everything that I'm talking about in the description notes below, by the way. But I got the fabric in Truro Fabrics, and I made the dress form of the Fleur dress. Now, my daughter has also made it as well. So I'm going to post some footage up here, which is from an Instagram reel that we made recently, because I'm wearing the dress and she's wearing the top. So it's quite a good comparison for you to see how they both look. Now, her top was made using a white 100% cotton Dobby print fabric, and that came from Franklin's in Salisbury. And as I say, mine is using the animal print viscose that I got from Truro Fabrics. But the only difference that I made to the pattern was that I shortened the sleeves just an inch, because when I made my first version, I found that the sleeves just hit me in the elbow, just sort of there, and it was just a bit irritating. So I've shortened those 1 inch, and apart from that, I've made the pattern how it came. And I absolutely love it. And the reason that I wanted to mention this dress is it's probably the most worn outfit that I've made this summer since I made it, because I find it's one of those dresses that I can just dress up and down and wear to any occasion. It's really comfortable, I feel dressed, I feel fashionable, I feel it's safe, I can't go wrong. So I just wanted to show you that. But if you want to see all the details and things that I said about the Fleur dress, if you just pop back to episode 2, you'll see everything there. So moving on from the Fleur dress, I'm going to go on to the Zadie Jumpsuit. Now, it's been on my radar for about 18 months to make this, and I've been talking incessantly about it to my daughter. Actually, I must mention, my daughter on Instagram is made by Sammy Lomax, and it's worth taking a look at her account as well, because she makes some really lovely things. And she only started sewing a couple of years back. Although she's my daughter, she didn't sew. So she didn't really sew until we went into lockdown, and then that's when she started sewing. And she makes some really nice things. And sometimes we make the same things. So it's quite nice looking at her versions of things as well. But anyway, I've always been saying to her about making the Zadie jumpsuit, and I even bought fabric for it. Not this year at the Stitch Festival, but last year, but I hadn't bought the pattern. Anyway, she bought me the pattern as part of a birthday present, and she bought the pattern as a PDF download and a printed version, and she bought that all from the Foldline, and that came through to me. So I've got the PDF pattern that I can refer back to, but I also have that paper pattern that I didn't have to print off and I didn't have to stick together, and I could just get straight on with my dressmaking. Anyway, I've digressed a little bit here. Talking about the Zadie jumpsuit, I was all ready to make it, and then I saw this fabric in Sewn Fabric and I decided to make it in that instead. Don't ask me why I changed my mind, but you know, we do, don't we? And I was making the jumpsuit actually for a specific reason. I wanted an outfit that I can wear to go swimming in. So I wanted something that I could pop my swimming costume on, throw something over the top, get to the swimming bars, and then afterwards just have an easy outfit to pop on afterwards as well. And I could go around the shops or do something like that on the way home and just feel nicely dressed, and something that was simple to put on and take off. So hence the Zadie jumpsuit. So I did quite a lot of looking at people's views and what people said about the pattern. So I did size down from my normal size before I made it. And I know some people said that the crutch was quite long on it, but I actually found the fit quite good for me. But I am quite short-waisted, so I'm short from the shoulder to the waist, but then I'm quite long from the waist down through to the hips. So I found the length on the Zadie jumpsuit great. I didn't have any problems or any pattern modifications at all to make with it. But there was just a couple of little things I did do and I would say about doing in future. So one of the things that I did do was to make a belt loop to go on the opposite side. Now I'll put a little bit of footage here so that you can see what I'm talking about. So as it crosses over, you've got the side that goes underneath. That has a split at the waistline here where the belt comes out, and then on the other side the belt just wraps all the way round. And I found that without having a belt loop there, that my jumpsuit might feel a bit lopsided, so it would be easy for it to sort of feel a little bit wonky. So I just made like a bias binding piece out of the spare piece of fabric. I just made a piece about that long and about that wide, and I folded it in half and in on itself and just top stitched it at the waistline and a couple of inches above, just so that I had a belt loop that I could thread through. So that was one thing that I did do. And the other thing that I would say with it is I love the pattern and it's great for the purpose that I've made it, but I just feel a bit worried about that crossover and the neckline stretching. Now, the viscose that I've used is a really lovely weight viscose, but the pattern suggests that you make a self-bias binding to go all the way around the neck and all the way down to the front opening. But if I'd have made my bias binding out of that, the whole thing would have been very soft and would have stretched. So I bought a pre-made 100% cotton bias binding, and I've top stitched it through twice to try and give it a bit of strength and resilience for when you cross that top over and you pull it around you and tie it. However, I don't know how that's going to react when I wash it, so I will come back and let you know when that's happened, when I've used it and washed it, and see whether it retains its strength with the pre-made bias binding. But in future, I'm going to experiment, and I will make the Zadie jumpsuit again. I did really like it. I like the fit, and it felt really comfortable. I felt as if I could walk around all day in it. But I think what I would do is, say if I've gone swimming in it, I'll have a swimming suit underneath to start with, and then when I come out, I'll probably put a vest top on, just in case it does open up slightly. So I will just do that. But my ideas on making another one would be a couple of different things. I've got some lingerie swimwear elastic here, and I might try putting that on the inside of the neckline. So as it pulls, it will retain its stretch and spring back afterwards. So that's one idea I've got for it. And then another idea that I have is to use some lingerie double-sided elastic. Now this has a little groove down the middle of it, and you just fold it in half, and you can almost use it like a bias binding. Now, I don't know how it's going to react when it comes down to the trouser part of the jumpsuit, but I do think that that would be quite good as well, depending on what the fabric is that I'm making the jumpsuit out of. It could actually be quite a good alternative to have that around the neckline as well, because there'll be a level of grippiness to it. Is that a word? Grippiness? But there'll be a level of keeping its shape and keeping it firm to the body. So that is my idea with the Zadie jumpsuit, and I haven't worn it to the swimming baths yet, but I will be doing that over the next couple of days. So after the Zadie, I'm just going to pop back to one of the items that I made in the last episode, which is the Nell blouse. And the Nell pattern is by Tilly and the Buttons, and you can make it as a dress or a blouse, and there's lots of different variations of it. And I'm still not finished with that pattern. I've made a dress and I've made a blouse, and I've got 2 more options that I'm going to be making for the winter. But I made this top here, and it's really pretty. The fabric is by the Crafty Pie, and it's her new range of gingham printed viscose fabrics. But every time I look at it, I just feel like I'm wearing pajamas. So I decided to embrace it. I went back to Truro Fabrics, which is where I got the fabric, and I bought 2 more meters, and I decided to make a pair of the Jaimie pajamas by Tilly and the Buttons as well. So I can enjoy the fabric, and as I say, I can wear it happily and confidently as a pair of PJs. And I'm going to pop pictures of the pajamas and the pajama bottoms up on the screen as well, so that you can see them. But I'm really pleased with them. And I also did an extra row of top stitching just along the top here. Someone asked me about that when they saw the Instagram picture. They said, oh, your pajamas, they look different at the top. And all it was that I just did an extra row of top stitching here, just about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. But yeah, now I've made the fabric up properly as a pair of pajamas, and the fact that I can reuse it as something else has made it a win-win. So I must say the fabric's really nice to work with as well, and it washes and tumble dries beautifully. I washed it on a gentle wash, 30-degree wash, and I tumble dried it on a cool setting as well, and it was great. It virtually doesn't need any ironing. So yeah, I really do like the fabric, but for me, more as pajamas than as general wear. So moving on from the Tilly and the Button Jaimie bottoms, I've got the fabulous skirt behind me here. Now I'm just going to nip off and take it off the dressmaker's dummy so that I can show you it in close-up detail. So just bear with me for 1 sec. And I'm back, and this is the fabulous fabric that I saw from Emporia Patterns, and I just had to have it. I'm going to put some footage up to the side again so that you can actually see what the skirt looks like on. But as soon as I saw this fabric, I just fell in love with it, and I just ordered it straight away. There was no hesitation, even though we were at the end of the summer in the UK. I just thought the colours and the design of the tiles, it was really lovely. The pattern that I chose was, wait for it because I can't pronounce this properly and I'm sure I'm going to pronounce it wrong. It's the Neeve skirt, but when you see it spelt, it's an Irish name and it's spelt differently to how it's actually written. And I had to check the So Over It YouTube channel to check the pronunciation, but I still might not be saying it correctly. But basically it has got a flat waistband, and then it's got a fitted yoke which comes down to a V. I don't know if you can see it. And then the gathers just come out from the hip. So if you're someone like me that doesn't suit a lot of gathers coming out from a waistband or an elasticated waist, then this is quite a nice option because, as I say, it's fairly fitted around the waist and to the hip, but then it actually flares out. So it's quite full at the bottom. So I'd say it's more of an A-line shape with gathers. And although it's got gathers at the hip, it's not so many that it's going to make you feel as if you're really sort of walking with a lot of fabric, or sometimes when you've got a lot of gathers, it can actually make you feel bigger. So I'm really pleased with it. It has an invisible zip popped into the side seam, which I'm going to show you here. And after doing this invisible zip, I thought that over the next week or so, I would do a tutorial and pop it on here actually, showing you how I put in my invisible zips, because I thought it might be helpful for anyone that's newer with sewing that wants to see how I do it. And also I teach workshops, so it's quite nice if someone's come to one of my workshops and they can then follow how I showed them how to do an invisible zip there and see me do it exactly the same on YouTube. So that's brought me up to date with the clothing makes that I've made over the last few weeks. And apart from that, I'd made a couple of pairs of curtains and a Roman blind and the pelmet and the tie backs and things like that. Now, this was the material that I used for the first set of curtains, and I've got about 1 metre left of it. And I'm just going to pop a picture in again for you so that you can see it. And when you look on the picture, the window looks quite small, but in actual fact it was quite a big window. But this is curtain material, and so it's about 54 inches wide, and I've got about 1 metre left over of that one. And then I've also got quite a bit left over of this material as well, which is the material that I used to make a patio door curtain, a Roman blind, a pelmet and a tie back. And it's really nice and bright and quite a big design. In actual fact, it's looking a bit browner on here, but it's more of an orange and jade green. But I'd allowed a few extra pattern repeats just in case I got caught short of fabric. So when I'm making curtains, let's say I've got 2 drops of fabric, I will also always include having an extra repeat of the pattern design, so that if anything goes wrong, I know that I can match everything up and juggle it. So I always make sure that I buy a little bit extra with my curtain fabric. However, I managed to squeeze everything out far less than I thought I needed with this one. So I've got quite a bit left over. So on this one, just as an average, I would say I've probably got about 2.5 meters. Now, I'm not worried what I use them all for, but I would like to use them. So I've got a couple of ideas. I might make a laundry bag, I might use them for a shopper bag. But one of the other ideas that I had was to make a couple of big convertible bags that can convert into beach mats. I don't live that far from the coast, I live by the sea, and so it would be quite convenient to have a bag that I can pop things in and then use it as a mat once I get down there as well. So if anyone's got good ideas of bag patterns that convert, it would be lovely to know, to leave them in the comments. And if not, I'll just ad lib and make something up and make it work. But that will be an interesting thing to do over the next couple of weeks, hopefully, unless I don't get diverted by anything else. So talking about what's coming up, I've got 2 pairs of Theas that I'm going to make. Now the Thea is the trouser pattern by Tilly and the Buttons. And I've also got a couple of patterns that I've already printed out and not used. So I've decided that I'm going to get those made up as well. Now the first one is the Bell Dress by Stylark. Now I love this pattern. I think it's really lovely. And just to show you, I've got the pattern all printed out, not stuck together and not made. And I have the fabric for it as well. And I have a really lovely blue printed viscose, which I would like to make it in, and I've got an event in October that I would like to wear the dress to. So that's something to be made along with the Theas. And then also I found that I printed this pattern off, and it is the Hourglass swimsuit by Ellie and Mac. And I printed that off and I've got the fabric, and I just ran out of time to make it before going on a previous holiday. So I've made my Zadie jumpsuit. I'm going to the swimming baths. I'm going to make my swimming costume. So that is on the to-do list as well. And when it comes to my Thea trousers, I've got 2 pieces of fabric. So I'm going to be making that up. That's going to be my next make, and I'm dithering. I've got a piece of lightweight denim which I think would be really nice, and I've also got some black sort of type drill fabric, and I think I'll probably end up making both, but I'm just deciding which ones to make first, because I went and made so many colourful tops last year that it would be really good to have something that I've made to go with them all that's plain. So on that note, I think that's rounded me up with everything that I've made, everything that I'm thinking about, and what I'm going to make over the next couple of weeks. But dare I say it, sometimes you see something and I keep thinking, we're coming into September, there's bound to be some new patterns released over the next couple of weeks, and so we will see. But for now, I will say thanks for watching. It's been lovely to have you join me here today, and the weather's looking really nice outside, so I'm hoping that I can get out in the garden for a little bit, and then I'll get editing this video and hopefully get it all online for Friday, which will be tomorrow. So for now, I'll just say thank you so much for joining me. Take care, happy sewing, and I'll see you soon. Bye.